Hello, guys. It's Chris here from Football League Hub, otherwise known as United Supremo on Twitter, regarding your latest Manchester United news. Now, today is going to be a fairly short one. We're just going to talk about the manager situation and some transfer updates that I've got, and then some of the stuff that's come out. We'll reflect on that, just some other little bits and bobs. So, firstly, I want to talk about the manager situation. We've had a lot of news out in the last couple of days, or the last few days, regarding Manchester United going to search for a manager in March. Well, I'm going to tell you that they'll be doing that before then, and what's going on with Manchester United. And we're going to start with Pochettino and obviously Ten Hag, two of the main names that Manchester United want. And we'll just go through a little bit about where their position is as the board. And who is sort of their favourite manager to take over in the summer. So obviously Rangnick's come in, and he's only going to be an interim, which is clear. They've briefed that out, that they're looking for a manager. Now, he will go into his next position. So he's got a lot of football knowledge around transfers, getting the right transfers, the structure of the club. So he's kind of a safety blanket for the next manager that comes in. Because it's football knowledge, so that they can bridge the gateway between the Glazers and the manager, which has sometimes been lacking. There hasn't been enough football people in the right positions. So that was a change of guard. Ed Woodward is going, so that now has changed. And Ed Woodward, incidentally, was a big fan of Pochettino. So him going changes the field slightly, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that's kind of where we are in terms of what Rangnick's doing. Now, what's going on with Ten Hag? Because, he's done such fantastic work at Ajax. He's well protected at Ajax. People keep telling me that it would be difficult for him to move into the current structure of Manchester United. Well, here's the thing, right? Manchester United are changing their structure. They're changing a lot of stuff. There will be more stuff that's changed. Probably more people coming in different positions. Now, Manchester United's view of Ten Hag has changed. The board have changed. Their consideration now is looking more towards Ten Hag. They're impressed with him. He's someone that Manchester United feel can get the best out of youth players, the best out of some of the players that they've got. Pochettino can do that as well, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So the shift slightly now has moved towards Ten Hag as opposed to Pochettino. Now, how do they agree a deal with him? It's very straightforward. They've got a great relationship with Ajax. So, they speak to Van der Sar a few times a month. Van der Sar obviously has a glowing thing about Ten Hag, and he's talking to them about it. So there's a fairly easy buy-in to get there. Release clause is incredibly cheap. I think it's about 8 million that they could agree it for. So, there's a low price to get him involved. He's done wonders at Ajax. He's a fantastic manager. And it's someone that could work in the club. And Manchester United can easily agree that deal. And this begs why, a famous journalist, Fabrizio Romano, has come out and said they're looking for in March. Well, I can tell you now, PSG are not going to... they're not going to even contemplate or even speak to United and say, look, not until the end of the season we're willing to talk about letting Pochettino go from his club. They don't want any distractions. They've got issues with Mbappe and those sort of things that they need to sort out. So they don't want that to happen until the end of the season. Manchester United still love Pochettino. So if Ten Hag doesn't happen, then absolutely Pochettino, they would go all out for him. But Ten Hag is ready for the move. He's ready to go. He said privately he wants to go to Manchester United. He's even said it openly, where he's gone and hinted that he's ready for the next step. Well, Pep's not leaving at the moment. Klopp is not going to be leaving at the moment. There's not a lot of clubs he can go to. Barcelona, Xavi's got a big project there. Ancelotti's doing well at Madrid. Juventus are not looking to change managers. Allegri did it in for the long term to make them more stable. Try and get them into the top four this season, which they could. PSG will be looking at Zidane. Ten Hag would be a difficult position, which, I can't see him doing that. He would want to go somewhere else. Manchester United have got a rich history. They've got an amazing relationship with Ajax. There's a lot of stuff going on, and they could agree a deal in March and April, which is very easy for them to do. And as I said, the board has shifted to liking Ten Hag, which is a key moment because they've been banging on about Pochettino for the last half a decade, even more. Ferguson still likes him, obviously, so there is that. Pochettino is still a favourite amongst the board, but at the moment it's looking like Ten Hag. There's a lot of negotiations would be incredibly simple now. Now, when it comes to Pochettino, a few months ago, I tweeted out saying that he'd be a good manager for Manchester United. And this was before Ragnick came in. I felt he could come in now, leave PSG, and obviously that didn't happen because PSG weren't interested in doing it. So they won't be interested in doing it in March. So you're not going to leave it till March and April to be able to already say, oh, okay, let's identify who the manager is. So you've got a couple of months to get him in and get transfer targets. It's not going to happen. So, they're already looking now. They're just not going to tell people that they're looking now because they want to keep it quiet and get it sorted. And they should get it sorted in March and April. And it makes them look quick and robust by saying, okay, we just started in March and we've already got a manager, you see. So that's the way they've played it to the media, which is understandable. I would have done the same in their position because of the leaks that they've had. So they're trying to play a little bit smart. But they're looking now. And they can get a private agreement with Ten Hag. They wouldn't get a private agreement with Pochettino because PSG won't allow it. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. So many little options on that. Now, when it comes to Pochettino, is that his football has not been great this season. PSG have obviously top of the league. Understandable, it's an easy league. The other teams have dropped off. They've sold their players. There hasn't been great from PSG this season. They're quite far ahead in the league, but it feels like they're just walking distance to it. If they get knocked out in Champions League, you could argue that is Pochettino the right man for this job? Is he going to get them trophies? Because you can't go another 3 or 4 seasons without trophies again, which could be a distinct possibility. So bare minimum is he's got to try and beat Real Madrid and get as far as he can in the Champions League for Manchester United to even say, okay, yeah, he's handled Neymar, Messi and Mbappe and he's won them the league and got them, quite far in the Champions League, if not win it. So expectations are high there. In terms of Ten Hag, I think quarterfinals or semi-finals would be enough for him to impress the board. So it's those two really, and there isn't really anyone else involved. That might change, but at the moment, Ten Hag is the favourite, and the board have shifted towards him. So they've already reached out to his camp to say that we're potentially interested in you, and they'll be doing that as they go along. But they're not going to wait till March and April to start making a search for a manager if they need someone in by May, June, July time, and say, look, okay, now here's your transfers, get them, because he's going to want to assess the situation, assess the current players, assess how they've done over the last few seasons, your type of players they've got, the type of targets. These all take time. Manchester United can't have particular targets. If they can agree to a manager during these periods now and then announce in March and April, which is likely what they'll do, then they can already talk about targets and those sort of things. And my ex-relationship would allow that. So I can see why they've shifted towards that, and let's hope Ten Hag continues to have it. Anyway, that's enough about the two managers. As I said, to summarise, Ten Hag at the moment is the favourite. Manchester United would be keen to get an agreement around March and April. They're already looking at managers now, starting the talks, making sure that Ragnick's involved. Of course, he knows that he's only there as an interim piece. But they're going to be respectful and not talk about it in the limelight. They're not going to allow the media. There's no need for them to talk about it now. They could come out to the media and say, we're looking for a manager now, which kind of undermines that Ragnick's only been there for a month as a manager. So they need to be careful how they handle the public relations with that, which is understandable why they do that. So that's the way it's gone. And journalists will be fed that information, of course. Now, when it comes to transfers, at the moment, it's quite quiet. And I tweeted out, I think it was last week, where United are they're not the most active team in the January market. So they don't really spend a lot of money unless they need to. Or they've got a problem to identify, which they have got an issue with the midfielders. We've spoken about so many times. Now, if you look at the tweet I sent out, which is about 7 days ago, I think, it talks about, they signed Alexis Sanchez 2018 or something like that, where he was towards the end of the window. Jean Mata before that was before the end of the window. Bruno Fernandes before that was right near the end of the window as well. So in the last couple of weeks, that's what United tend to do. So have some patience with transfers, and we'll talk about the particular transfer that I think is the most likely to happen if they want to get a midfielder. In terms of outbounds, Anthony Martial's gone incredibly quiet. Sevilla, as I said, days and days ago, couldn't afford the wages that United were asking. There's not a lot of people that can afford Anthony Martial now. Barcelona might come back in and say, hey, look, Dembele's not going to sign a new contract. You could do a swap deal there. The moment that hasn't happened, it's incredibly quiet around his camp. And my suggestion is if he's not going to go, then you have to start playing him, because that attack didn't look great. The attack hasn't been great all season, to be honest. It's looked incredibly rigid. They've tried multiple things. They're not conceding as many goals now, but they're not attacking or scoring as many goals. So there's no fine balance there yet, and that's because Ragnick's only come in and he's trying to change things, and it takes time to change particular players that have been used to just doing the bare minimum for the last 3 years. I say that nicely, but you know what I mean. So there's a lot of things going on with that. Dean Henderson apparently is out for illness, which is confirmed. But as I said, Dean Henderson's trying to force a move to Manchester United. The illness thing is just an excuse. Loads of players use that. So he's out, and obviously he's looking for a transfer. No one at the moment has come forth. Hopefully we hear something about it. I think he should leave. He's got a bad attitude, leaked out a lot of things. Maybe he's a talented goalkeeper. Maybe he's better than David De Gea. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have the attitude for Manchester United, so it's time to go. Cavani's staying, so that's good news. A lot of these players like Jesse Lingard, Jean Mata, as I said, are looking to stay till the end of the season and then move them, which they'll have more options, and then the wages that could be higher for the next job because they can control where they go a little bit more, as opposed to Manchester United receiving the right bids and stuff like that. We've got no news on Pogba at the moment, so Pogba will probably make his decision around April, May. I don't think he's going to hear anything about him yet. Manchester United still think they can keep him, but we'll have to see in the coming days. Not the coming days, coming weeks and months. So yeah, there's nothing around there. It's gone a little bit slow. But I can see that Zakari at the moment, as I said about Zakari, Kamara at the moment, we'll talk about Zakari in a second. Kamara at the moment hasn't decided his future, so it's likely he could wait until the end of next season and then have options to go to different clubs, which is a shame. But let's see if Manchester United can do something, but they haven't. They've spoken to his agent, but they haven't done anything else since. So perhaps they've been told something from there, but he'll decide the next time, because he might want Champions League football this time. So the Manchester United are in danger of not doing that at the moment. So we'll have to see what goes on with that one. Now, Zakari is an interesting one, because Zakari is one I mentioned back in December to say that United were going to talk to him, which has been confirmed now, obviously. Now, Zakari is only 6 million euros, which is about 5 million, 4.8 Milan, right? It's a no-brainer deal. They've reached out to his agents. Now, they reached out to his agents in December, so they knew they wanted a midfielder. So there's no real excuse from the club to not go and sign that particular player. You've reached out for him in December. So, okay, well, if you had no intention to sign a midfielder, why were you reaching out a month before? So people got to understand they've got to be a little bit patient with that. It's likely that the club will go in and for a bid or say, hey, do you want to come? There's multiple clubs involved in looking at Zakari. So we'll have to see in the last 10 days of the window if that happens. But there is no other further news with him at the moment. But I would say Manchester United, he's the one to keep an eye out on and see if Man United offer him a good, strong deal in the last few days of the window, which is what they tend to do. So we'll have to see on that one. You have to be a little bit patient and see where it goes. Now, just to summarise, and this is very short today, Ten Hag at the moment by the board is the one that their favourite, and they will negotiate, do talks in the next couple of weeks or months as we go. They'll speak to him. They'll see what they can do. They're actively looking now. They're not looking in March, as I said. Just refer back to the start of the podcast. And Pochettino's got to impress this year for him to get back into a good light for the board. So that's it from me today. Very quick and very short. But I hope you guys are okay. I'll keep posting some news as I go along. Sometimes I will post my views and people get confused that they're not transfer updates. You will understand where they are. Not everything I give is transfer updates. I like to give my views and opinions as well. So appreciate sometimes that you've got other accounts that just give you loads of nonsense. But I like to give my view as well, my opinion, because it's an interesting subject to talk about what's going on at the moment in the club. So thank you guys for listening today. Incredibly short, as I said. Make sure you follow United Supremo. If you could subscribe to my YouTube, that'd be fantastic. I appreciate you all that do and listen, even if it's one subscriber or one view listening to it. Appreciate that, as long as I can give some knowledge to someone else. And come and drop into our Discord. We've got a lot of people that have come in. We've got a lot of new people that have come in and have already interacted with some of our old members of staff. And it's a very good place. It's not as toxic as Twitter. Everyone's nice to each other. So pop in and the invite is in the comments below in the description. So make sure that you look in there and check us out. So thank you guys. And if I don't speak to you again this week, if I have any other updates, I will do another podcast or I'll tweet it because we're getting to the point when the window now that there's going to be more updates and rumors are going to get higher, of course. So, but thank you guys. I appreciate you listening. Hopefully you have a good week if I don't speak to you again. I might do a Q&A in the Discord in the next couple of days. But thank you guys. Take care now. Bye-bye.